Okay, I think we're good. We got a sack of potatoes, we got potato chips, we got a box of Reese Puffs. I know Lucky Charms would have been way more of a better cereal and more punny in this case, considering we're talking about Charmy, but I didn't happen to have any on standby. We got a bunch of Pringles back here because there was like a 2-for-1 sale at the store, so we got a bunch of those. I got a squishy hot dog, I got a squishy burger, and the single greatest snack item that was ever devised by human beings. I don't know why it took this long for us to figure out to take peanut butter and convert it into pellet form, but somebody did, and that's all I have to say. I'm just glad I live in the 21st century. That's good. Alright, so, we got a sheep. We got a little clinically depressed sheep over here. Okay, yeah, this is like Santa Claus. This is putting out cookies and milk for Santa, but cookies and milk, like, one plate of cookies is not good enough for Charmy, alright? If you're gonna get Charmy to come to your house, you need to have a lot more, so I think we'll be good. Let's do this! Alright, so today's video is about the Black Bull member, Charmy Pappitson, and just before we get to the character, I just love her name, alright? It's just an adorable name. It's like the name you would see on like a long-running series of like children's adventure novels, like Charmy Pappitson and the Mystery of the Half-Eaten Donut. Detective Charmy then took out her trusty magnifying glass and examined the donut crumbs on the floor of the bakery. The old mustachioed baker looked on in disbelief and shock. "Oh, Detective Charmy, you have to discover the mystery of who consumed all of my donuts!" Charmy merely waved a finger in the old man's face and said, "Quiet, I'm working." So, Charmy is small, lolly kind of character. I say lolly kind of because, yeah, she is drawn like a little girl, except she's a little bit more plump, you know? Not typical in, like, the lolly style, and she's really not a little kid. She's 19 years old, so I just wanted to confirm that. Yeah, she's 19 years old. Okay, we're good. And also the fact that, you know, when it comes to this kind of trope, I was figuring that it was gonna go the way that it happened a lot before, where, alright, you have this cute, unassuming little girl. She's probably not much in a fight now, is she? And then she turns out to be a biggity badass. Like, I could see that coming a mile away, but still, that didn't make it any less awesome when it finally happened, okay? When she was in the royal capital and the Eye of the Midnight Sun was attacking, and it was that old witch that looked like a hot young witch attacked her, and I don't even think they were trying to attack her specifically, and then she had all of her food and it got ruined, and then she was just, like, flipped out, and she's like, "Oh, you're not taking my food, I don't care who you are." And then, like, the demon sheep appears behind her and just smacks the crap out of the witch into the ground, and then Yuno, I think, took it over from there. But still, that was an incredible scene, right? It's just like, I could see it coming, but I was wondering what the impetus for it was going to be, what the trigger was. If it's just all of a sudden Charmy just goes through this transformation, you know, where it's like Biscuit from Hunter x Hunter, where she turns into this, like, super buff girl. Like, I didn't know what was going to happen, and so she doesn't actually change her physical appearance, it's just her attitude completely switches over, and she's 1 second this cute, like, "Oh, I just want to eat a bunch of dessert, yum yum yum, this is the best day ever." "You're trying to take my food, you're going downtown," you know? And apparently her sheeps have, like, armament hockey or something, because you'd think getting punched by this thing would not be that painful, but it hurts. It hurts a lot, with the rage of 1,000 meals behind it. So Charmy uses creation magic, and the thing that she creates is cotton. Not something you'd think, once again, would be very applicable in terms of, like, pitched combat. You'd think it'd be more used for, like, support magic. You know, like, she uses cotton to, like, cushion people's falls, or provide them with, like, armor, like Chopper's guard point from One Piece, or something like that. And yes, she actually can use her magic like that to, mitigate damage and even hide people inside. I'm sure it's very soft and, cushy inside of there. But no, she can also use it to fight whenever she flips the switch and somebody's trying to take her food from her, or even if she thinks somebody's trying to take her food from her, you know, all of her sheep will turn pretty demonic looking, and then will beat the crap out of everything. It's more of an instinct kind of deal at that point. It's not even like she's commanding them like puppets. It's just like they sense her murderous intent for the person that dares steal her fried rice or whatever, and they just start beating the crap out of them, alright? Fried rice, what am I talking about? It's gotta be like a burger, or usually dessert. Charmy is definitely aimed more towards dessert, like cakes and muffins and fudge and cookies and all that stuff, but she's not gonna turn down a big slab of meat. That's something else, too. You know, when it comes to a shonen manga, you're going to have a character that's obsessed with food. You know, sometimes it's the main character, like Luffy in One Piece, you know, or Goku in Dragon Ball. Sometimes it's a side character, you know, part of the main group. It's Charmy in this case. It's not always the adorable lolly character, though. I mean, sometimes it is. I don't think Charmy's the first person to be obsessed with food and have that archetype, but, you know, it's a little bit more few and far between, so that adds a little bit more, you know, intrigue into the character, kind of a different kind of personality, different design. That's kind of a neat thing there. She then began to study the crumbs, to which then she discovered a hare, but not a human hare. No, Charmy knew from her many years of consuming baked and meat goods, this was in fact a horsehair. The old baker questioned, "Oh, I am so flabbergasted! Are you saying that a horse found its way into my humble bakery and consumed all of my donuts?" Charmy merely shook her head and looked at the old man, and with sarcasm in her voice, she said, "Ha, old fool. Horses do not consume donuts. Their favorite desserts have been and always will be chocolatey eclairs. No, it must mean that this hair comes from the clothing of our prime suspect, a farmer." What else can we talk about with Charmy right out of the gate? I don't want to get into what happens later during the elf arc yet. We'll get to that, don't worry. Yeah, let's talk about her love affair with Yuno, which I'm 100% certain those two are gonna get together by the end of the story, okay? Because who else do you have courting Yuno? You have Belle, who's like his little pixie friend, who I think he views more as like a comrade in arms rather than like a love interest, and clearly shoots her down every time she tries to go all tsundere on him. But, you know, I see the thing here with Charmy. I see there's kind of maybe, you know, he's not a very expressive guy, but I feel some love happening there, okay? Am I the only one? But no, yeah, so Charmy, you know, she's not all just obsessed with food. She's also obsessed with guys that bring her food. In this case, Yuno, okay? Because Yuno kind of showed up right when she was beating the crap out of the witch and saved her food for her, and Yuno didn't even really know who Charmy was, and it was kind of this thing of just like, "Oh, you drop this? Here you go." And Charmy's like, "Oh my god! My prince in shining armor that brings me food! I will love you now until the end of days! Until the sun expands and destroys the planet we stand on, ripped asunder in a fiery hellscape! I will hold your hand, my prince." That's a pretty good way of actually, you know, articulating it. Yeah, she's deep in love and crushing on Yuno pretty hard. But it's not like Yuno, like, pushes her back, is like, "Okay, this crazy food-obsessed girl, I'm just gonna go over here now." No, I mean, Yuno doesn't really reciprocate it in the way that she would like, but, you know, there was that scene where after the Royal Magic Night exam, I think Charmy went up to Yuno to, like, ask, you know, do you want me to throw a dessert party for you, my love? And Yuno was like, "Oh, well, yes, thank you for that. That's nice. That's very considerate of you." And Charmy does like a triple flip backflip. It's like, "Oh my god, he's so amazing!" So, yeah, that's adorable. It's totes adorbs. I gotta give it to you. I was feeling it, alright? I really just love that scene in general. That's one of my favorite parts of the arc. Not the Royal Magic Night arc, but the Capital Attack arc with the zombies and everything. That's probably one of, if not my favorite part of that arc, when we get to see Charmy bust out her moves. There's a really easy way to get Charmy motivated for an all-out brawl to the death, and that's just letting her know that food is involved in some way. That's what they did at the underwater temple, where Charmy shows up and she devours a bunch of seafood, and she's like, "Alright, I'm ready to battle, bring it on!" And then, like, the priest comes out, and I think this priest used, like, sleep magic or something to knock her out, and so she was really rearing to fight, but then she just fell asleep immediately, almost. But then later on, they use Gray's transformation magic to make a rock look like a giant hunk of beef, and then that got her motivated just to wait, like, she broke the spell and got up and fought. hot. Alright, so that's all you gotta do to get her to fight, is just let her know that food is involved. If you want... Charmy's been under the effect of a spell that turns her into stone! You know, oh, don't worry, Charmy, right over there's a giant chocolate cake with peanut butter icing. The stone would just crack and she would just shatter it apart and then run over. You know, Charmy, a giant demon is attacking the Clover Kingdom. It's got 3 dragon heads and it's got like 5 great swords that can slice mountains apart. What are we gonna do? And Charmy's just like, I'm sorry, I'm eating right now. I was like, oh, the giant demon with dragon heads that's swinging around all the great swords that can sever mountains, it's also filled to the brim with cookie dough ice cream. Let's do this. And then she just charges right toward the demon's face and just knocks it down in one punch. Doesn't get the ice cream after it, but, you know, if you want a motivator for a battle, that's what you need to do. Alright? I also just love the contrast with her magic, you know? Her magic is sheep magic. It's cotton magic, but she usually uses it to create little sheepy sheeps. And then the sheeps, they can fight on her behalf and they can assist her allies, but more than not, she'll use the sheeps to just help her in the kitchen to prepare food. Alright, so she'll defeat like a giant boar and then she'll summon all of her sheep chefs that wearing chef's hats to, like, you know, help, like, prepare the meal for her to get the food faster, pretty much. She could just eat it raw. It's not a big deal for her, but, you know, she wants it to be more flavorful, right? So that's kind of funny, where in one moment you see these, like, unassuming sheeps just preparing a meal for her, and it's just like, is that what her whole magic is built around? But no, they also then go all demonic and everything, like the fur gets like a black tint to it and their eyes go all like and then they just pound the crap out of an enemy. Also, in kind of going with Henry having a house on his grimoire, yeah, Charmy has a fork and knife on hers, so maybe she might unlock Toriko's techniques at some point in the story. Actually, I'd be 150% fine with that. The old man twirled his mustache for a moment, deep in thought. A farmer, you say? But there's only one farmer in all of town that has horses. That's old Mr. McGrumble, and he lives in that farmhouse over yonder, but we haven't seen him in a few days. Charmy then gave her magnifying glass and her detective kit to her trusty assistant sheep sidekick and headed out of the bakery, walking toward Mr. McGrumble's old farmhouse. End of chapter 4. Oh, this is a beautiful book. Now, later on during the elf arc, we find out the true nature of Charmy's power. This is hilarious because I got the joke when it happened, and I was kicking myself for not, like, thinking about this beforehand, okay? So, when Charmy was fighting Rill, or I think it was Lyra, or Lyra was the elf reincarnate of Rill. You know, he of course still uses painting magic and everything, and Asta's there and everybody. It's like, how are we going to defeat this guy? Because Rill was always really strong on his own, and now he's reincarnated, and he's like, oh, got this painting magic. Like, there's no way we can reason with him. And Charmy shows up there, and Charmy's like, offering, you know, the reincarnated Rill some food. Just like, hey, you want some food? And Rill turns her down, and, like, I think he actually destroys the food in the process, or he rather turns her down. And Charmy's reaction to that is just... like, you could hear the death screech of hell just escaping her mouth. Like, see, here's the thing with Charmy. You know, she likes food, but she's not greedy with it. She's not like, I need all the food for myself, none for anybody else. No, that's something that makes her a little bit unique, a little bit more likable. It's like, she likes food, but she also really likes to enjoy the food with other people. Alright, so it's like, Charmy probably views it as like this big unifying factor. Like, even if we're enemies, we could still come together at the end of the day for a meal. Also, the food that she makes with her magic has mana rejuvenating properties. So even with, like, Radis and everybody and Sally that attacked the Black Bull hideout when they were going to, like, we're gonna help you guys out, take on the elves, and Master leaked all the crap he did to us. You know, he double-crossed us. And Charmy just like, okay, here's all this food. Recover your magic, friends. We can all unify around the dinner table, right? That's, like, her one thing where she feels like it could solve any problem. It's food. Everybody loves food. And then she offers Lyra some food, and it doesn't work there, and she's just like, you have committed the greatest sin of mankind. And so, here's the truth behind Charmy. Charmy always had a redonkulous amount of magic power. Alright, just a lot of it, right? And the reason for that is her heritage. It turns out she's half dwarven. Now, the dwarves are not a species that we have encountered yet in Black Clover. Charmy is the only one that even has the lineage of a dwarf. She's half dwarf, half human, half dwarf. So they're probably going to make an appearance later on. Maybe they might be living in another country. They might be in the Spade Kingdom or the Heart Kingdom. We haven't really seen any in Clover yet. I feel like if that was a race that still existed, we would see them. So there might be like a group of them still living somewhere. They lived at the time of the elves. We don't really know much about the dwarves yet. There seems to be, usually in fiction, it's like dwarves and elves aren't really on the best of terms with each other. I think it was Tolkien that kind of set that up in fiction, that dwarves and elves are kind of like not really a big fan of each other. But in Black Clover, it might be the case. I think Rill talked about, or Lyra talked about the dwarves, like, yeah, they lived alongside of the elves. I don't really think he mentioned, like, the elves hated them. He might have. I don't remember exactly, but I don't think it was like a visceral hatred for that. But that was the explanation on why Charmy has like such a high amount of magic power. And so she awakened this magic power when fighting Lyra, and she became a lot older. Like, so she's 19 years old biologically, but in the context of the story, she looks like, well, right here, she looks like she's about like teenage age, like 13, 14 years old. A lot of other times when we see her, when she's in like chibi form, she looks like younger than that, like 7 or 8. But, you know, when she activates her dwarven powers, her heritage, she looks like an actual 19-year-old. Like, she grows up a little bit. And, you know, it's not something that's overly sexual either, which is also something of a bit of a trope. You know, like in Bleach with Nelliel, you know, Nell's this cute, unassuming little girl. She has a transformation, and what does her transformation looks like? Oh, she's got, you know, huge boobs, you know, she's super attractive, super sexual, all that kind of stuff. But in the case with Charmy, no, it's just like she grows up. She looks like, you know, an actual 19-year-old would look in our world, okay? But she's not overly sexual, and her magic power is a lot stronger now, and the sheep turns into a wolf. And that's the true nature of her power, a wolf. And Charmy was kind of just as surprised as you and I were. She just kind of looks like, you were a wolf this whole time? And the wolf is kind of sarcastic to her, kind of giving her the business, like, yeah, I'm a wolf, whatever, what are you gonna do, fight about it anyway, let's fight that guy instead. And her true magic is actually food magic. That might sound even more of like a support kind of magic, but no, food magic will you up 8 ways to Sunday, alright? With a chocolate sundae. It will summon a chocolate sundae and just, boom, make you wish that you were never born. That's food magic right there, okay? But no, the funniest thing about all of this, do you get the joke? It's a wolf disguised as a sheep. It's a wolf in sheep's clothing, as it were. Tabata, good job, buddy. Good job, man. That was great. I laughed my ass off when I realized that. That was so good, alright? And the fact that her true magic power is food magic also, you know, it makes sense given her personality and all that. So, unfortunately, we don't get to see the all balls out fight between her and Lyra. I would have liked to see that, like, just go all at it, but it was more of a situation where it was like, alright, I'll take care of this guy, Asta, you and everybody, you go on ahead to fight against the you know, the major bad guy, Leaked, or Patri in this case, and the demon and the devil and all that crap. You go deal with that, I'll deal with this guy. So, we cut back to her fight, I think once or twice, but it's never like we get to focus on like everything that happened, which is unfortunate. But yeah, at the end of everything, when Asta and Yuno defeat the devil, she's there, she apparently defeated Lyra, she grabs him, gets, or Rill's body, gets him out of there so he's not caught up in the explosion of the palace, and they all get out of there, and I think it was one of the most recent chapters, which was kind of funny, when Asta looks over at Charmy, and Charmy is now back to like her chibi form, she's not like in her grown-up state anymore, and Asta's like, yo, Charmy, you changed back. You're no longer like a grown-up sexy lady or whatever. Somebody says that, and Charmy's just like, oh, you fool. I've always been a charming, sexy lady. And I'm sitting there laughing, and I'm like, okay, wait a second. Let me, okay, she's 19 still? Okay, good. All right, yeah, Charmy, you've always been a charming, sexy lady. Absolutely, 100%. Okay, alright, so, you know, that lends to, some pretty cool fight scenes in the future, I am sure. All right, we're gonna see a lot more stuff with Charmy. Maybe that's the reason why Tabata didn't, like, Tabata had to show off a lot of other stuff. We had to get to the final battle. We had to find out everything going on with Patry and the other elves. So I understand why he didn't focus on this battle too much. But now we have that, okay? We have to have Charmy learning a little bit more about her nature. Maybe there'll be an entire arc now where Charmy has to go find the dwarves. You know, not because she's interested in her heritage, but maybe somebody will probably say, like, you know, the dwarves are really good at making meat. You know, their culinary skills are unrivaled, it's said, when it comes to cooking the beef. And Charmy's like, we're doing this. We're going on an adventure. Like, we cut over to Charmy. She's got, like, a giant backpack on, and it's like, we're doing this. We're going to the far reaches of the Spade Kingdom, or wherever we gotta go. We're gonna find these people, okay? We're gonna discover my heritage. So there could be a whole arc focused on her, which would be good, because we really haven't had anything focused on her yet. We had an arc focused on Vanessa. We focused a lot on Finral's past during the Royal Magic exam arc. But yeah, I think we could have an arc focused on Charmy going to find the dwarves, if there's any dwarves that still live. Maybe they might know some more stuff about the elves, and we can find out more about this history there. There might be a legitimate reason they would have to go outside of Charmy, but Charmy would just go along because it's her family, you know? And then we could see her trying to master the whole wolf thing. Maybe she'll give the wolf a cutesy name or something. I don't know, but the possibilities are definitely opened here for her. And out of all of the Black Bulls right now, she's definitely the one I'm kind of keeping my eyes on the most. I'm definitely interested in what's going to come up with Charmy coming down the line here. But yeah, other than that, I like her personality. I like how she interacts with Yuno and Asta and everybody. And her, she's usually a lighthearted way of the arc. Even if the arc is, like, really intense. Like, here's the capital arc. You know, zombies are in the streets attacking citizens. Like, Aah! Capital is burning down in the background. Here's Charmy just sitting in the banquet hall devouring food. It's kind of comic relief. Sort of. It kind of lightens the mood a little bit. Even during the elf reincarnation, when all this crap was happening, a literal devil was being born to bring the world into darkness. Charmy was there like, do you want some food? You know, like, that kind of lighted it up a little bit. She makes me laugh, and that's good. So, yeah, that's Charmy Pappitson. And next video, we're going to be talking about my favorite Black Bull, Luck Voltia. Crap. I think I just got that. Wait, Voltia. Oh, I get it, because he's electricity. Voltia is his last name. Tabata, you clever. I get it. Alright. So yeah, you guys have a good day. Go and get yourself a snack, okay? Just go, tell you what, just go get yourself a nice hearty potato and just take a good bite into that. Or maybe some chips, maybe some other variety of potatoes that are easier to consume. Well, you ever tried these? These are dark russets. I don't know if you can get these everywhere, but these are actually really, really good. I would try these out if you haven't. They're kettle cooked. They're a little bit, you know, on the healthier end of the spectrum, at least when it comes to potato chips. I mean, they're potato chips, but they're really good. Try them out, seriously. Tekking signing out. Later, everybody. Detective Charmy arrived at the old farmhouse right around dusk. Ooh, setting the atmosphere here. She knocked on the door and asked, "Old Mr. McGrumble, I am Detective Charmy here with a donut-related crime. I must come in to question you at once." However, the door to the farmhouse swung open off its hinges. She walked in to the dark room. She smelled an aroma she had smelled many times before this, the aroma of cooking meat. She went down into the dirty cellar where she discovered the bloody remains of old Mr. McGrumble on the ground being baked alive? This children's book just took a grisly turn. If you want to hear more, comment below!